Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Study UK Facebook Live Q&A session. My name is Jenna Hartzell, and I'm the British Council's Education Manager. Today's session will focus on everything related to applications for a postgraduate or top master's course in the UK. Whether you have already decided to apply to the UK and you're here for some practical tips, or you are just curious about learning more about studying in the UK for a master's degree, we hope this session will be useful for you. During this session, we will focus exclusively on top master's programs. If you have questions about research master's degrees or PhDs, we encourage you to follow up with the university representatives after this session. The chat for today's Facebook Live is open to share opinions and information related to the session's topic. Our aim is to create a safe environment for everyone. We encourage divergence of perspectives, but we do not tolerate bullying, harassment, or discrimination against other members of the chat or the speakers. We thank you all for your participation in today's Facebook Live and for your commitment to creating a safe and respectful environment for everyone. For today's session, we are excited to be joined by Liam Stott, International Marketing Manager for the University of Bedfordshire, Megan Carlisle, International Officer for the University of Leeds, and Jenny Hogg, Regional Manager for Latin America for the University of York. Hi, Liam, Megan, and Jenny. Thank you for joining us today.
Hello. Nice to be here.
Thank you for helping us to answer all of the questions that I'm sure our audience will be sending in today. We encourage everyone who has joined to type in your questions in the comments section, and we will answer as many as we can get through. To start off, please feel free to say hello in the comments and let us know where you're joining from. This session will be conducted in English, but please feel welcome to leave your comments in your mother tongue. We will share our contact information in the chat in case you have a question that we are unable to get to during the live. In just a moment, we will dive into all your questions about applying to a master's degree in the UK. But first, I'd like to ask the representatives here with us today to each tell us a little bit about their universities. So starting with you, Liam, could you tell us a little bit about your university, including where it's based and what international students can expect to find there?
Okay, thank you for your question then, Jenna. Yes, so I am representing the University of Bedfordshire today. The university is based around 4 main campuses in the UK. We have campuses across Bedfordshire and in our neighbouring county of Buckinghamshire, so Luton, Bedford, Milton Keynes and Aylesbury. Our population is roughly 20,000 students. From over 120 countries worldwide. So the University of Bedfordshire is internationally recognised, and we attract students from a range of countries, various European countries, obviously various African countries, China, India, lots of other countries in Southeast and South Asia. And we also attract students from the Americas as well, particularly from Colombia, the United States and Canada. And we are always welcoming international students from all parts of the world. So that's important to say. In terms of what international students can expect by coming to Bedfordshire, in terms of our campuses and how they are set up, it's a very diverse students community at Bedfordshire. The local population in Luton is also very multicultural, so you would expect to have that multicultural international experience just by living in Luton as an international student, and they would get a similar experience at Bedford, although I would say the campus at Bedford is probably less diverse than our Luton campus. But the Luton campus is our biggest campus, and that's where we have most of our students, certainly our international students. We have about 3,000 approximately at the moment, which is about 25% of the overall student population. We have 2 intakes per year for our undergraduate and foundation years. In particularly our business, computing, and engineering courses, and then the 2 intakes is September and January for most undergraduate courses. And then what's really unique about Bedfordshire, we have 6 intakes for our postgraduate business, computing, and engineering programs. So that's we have intakes in September, November, January, March, June, and July. So we are consistently recruiting international students across the year. It's a very flexible model that we have at Bedfordshire, and it is very successful for our students. We've got affordable tuition fees as well, scholarship of up to £1,500 per international student, and there's no applications required as well. And we also have a fantastic location. If you were to go on into Google Maps and look for where Luton is in the UK, it is only 22 minutes away from central London by train. So that's a real big draw. It's a real big pull factor for our international students. Yeah, being so close to London is a very attractive quality. Bedford is further north, about 35 minutes away from central London. So out of the 4 campuses, Bedford and Luton are mostly served by our international students. Academic staff have won National Teaching Fellowship Awards as well, which also demonstrates their expertise in their fields. And we are a very modern university. I think that's important to mention. We started in 2006 officially, so we're just 15 years old. And that's why we do feature in the Times Higher Education Young University Rankings for 2021. We're currently in the top 300 in that ranking table. But we've got some good awards as well that we've won recently. Eco Campus Platinum Award in 2020. And we are in the top 10 in the country in the university's Green League as well. So we have got some good benefits, and we've got a range of career enhancing courses as well for our international students to choose from. We even offer 2-year courses, mostly in our business school and in our computer science departments, with data analytics or with project management. So I think the University of Bedfordshire can really suit those students that are wanting to come and maybe live and study near London, good access to the capital city, affordable fees, a guaranteed scholarship as well. There's no application required. And again, developing their career and having a great future. So I think that's what we can offer the students who are joining us here today on this session.
Great. Thank you so much, Liam, for telling us a little bit about the University of Bedfordshire. And we will be posting a link to the university's webpage in the chat. So we encourage everyone watching, if you'd like to learn more, to go and visit the website. For everyone joining us, we are doing a Facebook Live Q&A on everything about applying to a master's degree in the UK. And we have these 3 wonderful university representatives with us today to help to answer all of your questions. So we do encourage you to drop your questions in the chat, and we will be getting to them in just a moment. We are first hearing from each of the reps to hear a little bit about their university and what it offers for international students. So we'll go next to you, Megan. Could you tell us a little bit about the University of Leeds?
Thanks, Jenna. Hi, everyone. Yes, so I'm here representing the University of Leeds, which is located in the city of Leeds, which is the 3rd largest city in the UK and located in the north of England. So we're about 2 hours from London by train. Leeds is a Russell Group institution, so we're a research-intensive university here in the UK, and we're one of the top 100 universities in the world in a QS World Ranking. So we've got an outstanding reputation, and our teaching is led by our research. So 80% of our research was recognised as outstanding or excellent in the most recent Research Excellence Framework. So if you're coming to study at Leeds, you should expect a demanding academic experience with also a fantastically vibrant campus. So we're on one campus. We're a large university with nearly 40,000 students, but we're on one single campus, which feels very friendly. And our campus is just 10 minutes walk from the city centre of Leeds. So Leeds is, as I mentioned, the 3rd largest city in the UK, very student friendly, lots of things for students to get involved with, and very multicultural as well. We offer over 200 master's programs, so we are a big institution in terms of the number of students, but also in terms of the breadth of courses that we offer. And these are taught across 7 faculties. Leeds is particularly strong in engineering. We have one of the largest engineering research groups in the UK, and that's our Faculty of Engineering. We also have a triple accredited business school, so that is accreditation from A, CSB, AMBER and EQUIS, which is a really strong sort of good indicator of quality of a business school. And we also have some really exciting programs in areas like environment, which are really popular with students from Latin America specifically. So we're like top 15 in the world for transport studies, which is a really interesting area for students from particularly countries like Colombia. I get a lot of inquiries. So I think Leeds offers a highly academic, prestigious academic experience. We're a very prestigious institution led by our research and focusing on tackling global challenges and equipping graduates with the skills that they need to succeed in the workplace. And that's all I'll say for now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Megan, for telling us more about the University of Leeds. And we will also be dropping the webpage for University of Leeds in the chat. So please do go and explore their website to learn more. For those joining us, please do drop any questions you have in the chat about applying to a master's degree in the UK. And we'll go next to Jenny. If you could tell us a little bit more about the University of York and what international students can expect there.
Thanks, Jenna. Great to be here today. So the University of York, we're not too far from Leeds, actually. We're about half an hour down the road in Yorkshire as well. But we're more like a similar size to Bedfordshire, about 20,000 students, and a smaller city. So York's a very historic, very, very charming city with a lot of interesting history and a very unique charm. So you'll find lots of Viking connections in our city, lots of Roman history, and we're particularly strong in arts and humanities. We're ranked 45th in the world for our Faculty of Arts and Humanities. So that covers things like history, archaeology, history of art, English literature, but also some more modern courses like film and TV production as well. And then we're top 100 in the world for psychology and for social sciences. So social sciences would cover popular courses like economics, for example. Health economics is particularly famous at our university. But politics, public administration, international relations, social policy, sociology, law, business, all these sorts of areas, education as well, are very, very strong at York. So we're a campus university too, again, kind of one single site. You've got all the services you need in one place. So not just the library and your classrooms, but student accommodation, supermarkets, hairdressers, kind of whatever you need day to day is right there on campus. But again, you're walking distance from the city centre. So 30 minutes walking, or I know someone in the chat opened by asking about the situation with gas in the UK at the moment. You may have seen our petrol crisis in the news right now. If you live in York, that's not a problem because pretty much everyone in our city gets about by bicycle. It's a very flat city, and so loads of people own bikes. So I'm feeling really smug right now. I'm not worrying about filling my car with gas. I can take my bicycle everywhere. So it's another Russell Group university, again, similar to Leeds, a top-ranked research-intensive institution. But say smaller city, smaller university, plenty going on. We think it's the perfect size, not too big, not too small. And I look forward to answering any of your questions about life in a UK university or in our city today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jenny, and for telling us more about the University of York. We do have those websites in the chat just to remind everyone, and we will write the university's names in the chat as well. But just as a reminder for everyone joining, we're joined by the University of Bedfordshire, the University of Leeds, and the University of York today. So we've already got some fantastic questions in the chat. If you are joining us, please do drop any questions you have, and we will try to get to them during this session, or you can follow up with the representatives afterwards. But I think this one question ties nicely into thinking about the university search process and where do students start when they're thinking about applying to a master's degree in the UK. So we have a question from Danny saying that they are looking for a master's degree in data science in their case, but they're not looking for a specific place, but just for a good opportunity to travel and study within their budget. So Liam, could you give our audience some tips on where can students go to learn more about UK universities and master's degree available, and compare their options based on their different criteria like Danny's?
Yeah, absolutely. So that is a great question. And I think when you are, starting your research, you've got to obviously, the internet and, is obviously a great tool, but there's so much out there, So I think the process you've got to be very careful. You've got to do some good research and some good planning. There are some websites that you can use if you are searching for your master's degree or your postgraduate degree in the UK. So you may wish to use Prospects. That's a very well-known tool where you can start researching master's degrees in various subject areas. You may even want to use UCAS. UCAS.com is we mostly associate UCAS with undergraduate applicants, but you can actually use UCAS to search for a postgraduate course. UCAS is now becoming a tool which can be useful for postgraduate study now. So you can actually search for your course on UCAS. And there's a website called postgraduatesearch.com. There's postgrad.com. There's even a section on the British Council's website about it, or there's even findaMasters.com as well, which is also quite popular with international students looking for a master's course in the UK. So you can start looking at that. You've got to maybe think about your previous course that you've studied, and whether or not you want to sort of develop or enhance your existing knowledge from your bachelor's degree when you're thinking about a master's course. So you might be a recent graduate from your home country, and you're looking at coming to the UK to, develop your sort of skills and knowledge, So that's something to think about when you are searching for the right kind of course. Think about what you've done previously. And then if you've got some work experience, in your home country, then also take that into account when you are thinking about what master's course to sort of search, or which master's course to study. So I do think that's important as well. And then you'll then start to think about things like, the location, where do you want to be? Do you want to be in a large city or a smaller town, or, in London or somewhere? So it's about deciding whereabouts that you want to study. So doing your research on the UK, our country, and thinking about what kind of university that you want to study at. I mean, all the reps here today were all representing campus-based universities, but there are city-based universities as well. So there are different kinds of universities. Some are very old, some are much more modern. So there's quite a lot of factors there that you need to consider when you're searching for a master's degree. It can take a bit of time, and it's obviously quite a big investment in your future. There's quite a lot of money involved. This is a high investment decision. It's like buying a car or buying a house. We're not quite buying a house, but there's quite a bit of money involved when you're searching for a master's degree in the UK. So, do your careful research, maybe ask for some support from your parents or partners, or or the university reps themselves. You may even wish to want to use an agent to help you out if there's someone in your local area who can help you. So I think there's quite a bit of work to do, but if you do the good research, use the right websites, and then go on the university websites as well, then I'm hoping you should be able to find the right course that suits you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Liam. I think there was so much great information in there that our audience can take away to start their search and start comparing different courses and universities. So we're dropping some of the websites that Liam mentioned in the chat so that you can go and check those out. So I think next we'll go to Megan. If you could tell us a little bit about what are the advantages, particularly of studying a master's in the UK. I think there are many, many advantages, and I'm sure you'll touch on a lot of them, but maybe we could touch on some of the things that have come up in the chat, including I saw some questions around like cost and also working while you're studying or after you study. It'd be great to hear what some of the advantages are.
Yeah, for sure. And I think many international students now, they don't just consider one country. I'm sure a lot of the people watching will be considering the UK, but also maybe the US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. So there is a lot of choice. So firstly, a master's program in the UK is typically 1 year as opposed to 2 years in a lot of other countries. So that has two big advantages, I think. One, you can progress faster. You can get out of your master's in 1 year and then continue with your career progression. So you move on quicker. Secondly, it's cheaper if you study a 1 year master's generally because you're only having to pay fees and living costs for 1 year rather than 2 years. So that's a really big advantage that the UK has. And because of the intensity of a UK master's, it will be recognised in the same way as a 2 year master's from a lot of other countries. Secondly, as we've discussed earlier when we were introing ourselves, a lot of universities in the UK are really well recognised and well ranked. So that means you can be sure that you're going to receive a really high quality education. A UK master's degree will look great on your CV, whatever you're going on to do afterwards, because our education system is recognised globally as being world leading. That also means it can help with applying for scholarships as well. So some scholarship programs in certain countries take into account the institutional ranking. So if you're looking at a highly ranked university, that can help you before you even start if you're looking for external funding. So that's something to bear in mind. And the UK has a lot of really good institutions. My next point would be international environment. So this is something that's becoming increasingly important, particularly in like business, for example, being able to communicate with people from diverse backgrounds, being able to work in diverse teams and cross-cultural communication. UK universities are incredibly diverse with students from all over the world, as we all touched on in our intros, very diverse. So that ability to meet people from all over the world, to create connections with students from all over the world, that's a really good network for you, and you'll learn so much as opposed to going to a country, to staying in your home country or going to a country where all the students are home students. It's great for your English language development as well, which is really important. I know you mentioned about job opportunities, and I saw we had a question in the chat about internships as well. So there may be exceptions, but generally UK master's degrees don't tend to include internships, and that's just because of the duration of the master's. 1 year is not a lot of time to try and fit an internship in. However, there are lots of ways that you can get career experience and boost your CV during your master's. So the UK government allows you to work up to 20 hours part-time during term time if you're here on a student visa. And I have students at Leeds every year who find a job in their fields. So like they do an internship alongside their studies or a summer internship when they're coming towards the end of their programme. You can also apply for the UK's new graduate visa, which means you can stay in the UK for 2 years after study, looking for work or doing any type of work. And this is new. This is a fantastic opportunity for international students, and it makes the UK more similar to countries like Australia and Canada, where there's more flexibility to now stay in the UK after you've finished your master's and get that work experience. So don't just, when you're looking at career development, don't just think, is there an internship, yes or no? You need to think a little bit broader than that, I would say. Also, a lot of UK universities have really excellent careers support, so links with industry built into the programs, outstanding career centres with one-to-one guidance. So if you're a proactive student who makes the most of these resources, then you will really be able to boost your CV during your masters. And then my final point would be that it's a fantastic experience. The UK is an amazing place to live. It's got so much culture and history. It's quite small, particularly compared to a lot of the countries that we're speaking to today, like compared to countries like Brazil and Mexico. The UK is tiny, so you can explore so easily. You can pop down to London from like Leeds or York in a couple of hours. Liam mentioned like Luton Airport is really close to Bedfordshire. You can hop to Europe during your vacations. So you'll be able to explore and really broaden your mind, like personally as well as academically and professionally. So those would be my top reasons for choosing the UK.
Those are a lot of fantastic advantages to studying a master's. I'm convinced. So thank you, Megan, for sharing those. So I think we'll go next to Jenny. If we could ask you, if so, a student has like decided to apply to a UK university for a master's degree, where do they go to make their application? And would their application include an application fee? And not to pile on the questions too, but I see we've had some questions in the chat around English language requirements as well. So if you could also touch on what students should be keeping in mind in terms of English language level requirements when they're making the application.
Excellent. Thank you, Jenna. So generally speaking, each university has their own postgraduate application system. So you would go to the website of the university that you're interested in. In most cases, there isn't an application fee, but you will find for very popular institutions or very popular courses, so maybe MBA programs at some of the top schools, just because of the volume of applications they receive, they may charge an application fee. None of us that are here today charge an application fee for any of our master's programs. The academic calendar in the UK starts usually around September each year. So there might be slight variations, late August or beginning of October in some cases, but around September time. And usually our application systems will open kind of 12 months beforehand that you can already apply. And again, Liam mentioned how flexible some of the start dates are at Bedfordshire. So we do have some universities that offer masters that might start in January, especially. I say the majority plan to start around September time, and I say from 12 months beforehand, you can go in, usually create an application portfolio on our own internal system, scan your documents and upload them to the system. Now, English language, often universities don't need to see your English language certificate when you make your initial application. They're usually more interested in your academic documents. So your transcript, certificate of grades, and if you have already graduated, often your degree certificate as well. And those will need to be translated into English. So generally our admissions teams won't be able to read a document that's in Spanish or Portuguese. You will have to take your academic documents, say, to an official, somebody who's working as a translator. So you don't normally need the apostille. That's not necessary in most cases, but an official translation. And the English language certificate, I say if you need a bit longer to prepare your English level, you can usually upload that to the system at a later date. The level of English is going to vary from program to program. So I know at York, for things that are really technical or creative, so if you're doing something like electronic engineering, robotics, music, mathematics, your English doesn't need to be that high. Most courses are looking for an IELTS of 6.5. I say those very creative or technical courses would take an IELTS of 6 usually. For something like English literature, philosophy, law, where you need to have a really good grasp of English, we're looking for an IELTS of 7. And again, different universities will accept different language certificates. So check on our website. We're really flexible at York, and we've become more flexible because of the pandemic. So we'll accept a lot of the at-home tests now, IELTS Indicator, the TOEFL Home Edition, and Duolingo as well, which is a much cheaper test. That's only $49 US, and the results are available in 2 days. So, but check, because I say different institutions will have different requirements and will accept different certificates from you. Was that all of your questions?
I think that's.
I missed anything there.
Yes. No, thank you, Jenny. That was super useful to understand more about where to go to apply and what students should expect in terms of the English language requirements and an application fee. So I do see a short question in the chat asking, where can students contact you, the representatives joining us here today? And we will be sharing everyone's email contacts at the end of the session. So please stay tuned for that so that you can get in touch with them. So I think we'll move next to Liam. We're getting some different questions in the chat about prerequisites for different courses, the types of qualifications that students need. So could you tell us what kinds of qualifications universities are looking for from applicants for a master's degree, and where can students go to find out what prerequisites they should expect to need for their course?
Yeah, certainly. So when it comes to qualifications for a master's degree in the UK, typically we would need to see evidence of completion of your bachelor's degree from your home country. So that's quite typical for most, if not all, UK universities. Some universities may stipulate on their websites a specific percentage of your bachelor's degree, or the equivalent of 2.2 or 2.1 if you studied the course in the UK. So we always do look at the equivalent sort of grades that you've achieved on your degree course. So it's really important when you are submitting the application to your chosen UK university that you do submit the certificate of completion, that you've successfully graduated from your university in your home country or whichever country you studied at. I mean, you might even studied your bachelor's degree in the UK. And if you've done that, there are cases where we can actually exempt your IELTS or your English test if you've actually got a UK bachelor's degree. But in my experience, most students who apply, certainly from Central, North or South America, most students do have their bachelor's degree from their home country. So we'll send that all in to us, your graduation certificates, your academic transcripts. Let's see what grades you achieved. It could be in the GPA scale. It might be in another scale. Whatever scale it is, as long as it's been translated into English, we need to see evidence of that translation. Then we'll be able to assess the application and then hopefully make you an initial conditional offer for the course that you want to study with us. Other documents that are important when you are sending in the application as well would be a copy of your passport. If you've been to the UK in the past, so therefore, a copy of your UK tourist visa, or if you've been to another country like the US or Canada, Australia, you'll need to see evidence of previous visas, as we will probably need to do a quick compliance check, just checking that your immigration history is all good, basically, and it's all kind of clear and there's no issues on your immigration. And then, we need to see evidence of references, that the application form is complete and there's no issues with the form. So we look for all those things, really, all those documents when you are submitting the application. But the academic documents are really important because we can't make an offer without seeing those academic documents. And as Jenny was saying previously, the English test result is not compulsory for the initial offer to be made to you. And the English test will probably be one of the conditions that the admissions team will list on the offer letter itself. So when it's sent out to you, or if you're going to apply via an agent, when it goes to your agent, then they can discuss that with you regarding the English test that you'll need to do. But the university must be able to obviously accept that English test that you want to do. So always double check with the university first that we can actually accept that English test before you actually go ahead and book and pay for the said English test. And just to say a bit more about the English test itself, if you are going to do an IELTS, please make sure you do the academic IELTS. If you do the general training IELTS, unfortunately, we cannot accept that. And that's a standard rule across the UK universities. General training IELTS can't be accepted. The UKVI may actually deny your applications. It must be the academic IELTS. And again, there might be certain courses where it could be higher than others. So typically at Bedfordshire, we accept a B2 or a 6 with a 5.5 in any in all bands for most programs. But there's a few programs like nursing, social work, teacher training, or English literature or linguistics where it's actually a 6.5. But always double check the course page to ensure that you are going to meet our English language requirements. So yeah, those are the sorts of documents and qualifications that we do accept, or what universities look for. The other thing to also mention at this stage is your gap in studies. And this is something where the admissions teams would carefully assess not just your documents, but when you actually achieved them. So, for example, at Bedfordshire, our gap in studies policy is 4 years for undergraduate applicants and 7 years for postgraduate applicants. So if you've actually got a gap in studies longer than 7 years, it may be difficult for us to actually accept you or make you an offer onto the course. So we need to maybe look at your CV or ask for your CV, and we'll have to look at and see what work experience you've achieved in the last few years, particularly if your gap in studies is actually longer than 7 years. Okay, so that's very important. We do look at that as well. So those are my comments on that.
That's great. Thank you, Liam, for explaining the different types of qualifications that students should expect to need to submit for a UK application. So I think we'll move to Megan. So we've talked about the qualifications students should expect to have, but we know that's not everything that students should plan to have in their application. So could you tell us a little bit about what students should plan to include in their application in addition to their qualifications? And then as an aside to add on the questions, we had some questions in the chat about students asking about master's versus MBA versus a research master's. So I know this session we're talking about top master's degree, but if you could just touch quickly on for students to understand what those different types of degrees are, would be great.
Yeah, I'll start with that bit first. So I saw we had a question about whether a business master's or an MBA is more suited. So an MBA is aimed at a more professional type of student who has a lot more work experience. However, if you do have work experience, you can still apply to a business master's program. You just can't do it the other way around. So an MBA candidate is typically a little bit older, has a minimum for Leeds, a minimum of 3 years work experience, but typically more like 5 to 10 years work experience. They're normally quite senior professionals in business, and they come and study an MBA to get a theoretical understanding of management to complement their professional experience. A business master's program can be for anyone. So it might be that you have work experience, or it might be that you've just graduated from university, and they can be in business generally, or they can be more specialized in a particular area like supply chain or human resource management or marketing. So that's the main kind of difference. But yes, if you do meet the work experience requirement for an MBA, but you would prefer to do a business master's, that's absolutely fine. In terms of research degrees, so this is about taught masters. So that means that most of the credits on your master's degree will come from taught modules. So those are modules where you have classes, and then you're assessed either through an exam or a project or an essay, a piece of coursework, for example. On a research master's, that you'll have much fewer taught modules and your research project will be bigger. There are typically research projects on taught masters as well, but it's just a part of the program, whereas a master's by research will be almost entirely research based with maybe a couple of taught modules. A master's by research is very good preparation for a PhD. With a taught master's, you could either go on to do a PhD or work in industry. So it just depends whether you would rather spend more time in structured classes or on your own independent research project. Does that answer that part of the question about the different types of degree in a nutshell?
Thank
It's
you.
quite,
Yeah,
quite a big
that
thing
helps.
to sum up.
Yeah, helps to have those definitions
Yeah.
of those types of degrees.
And there's lots of different like you'll see MBA and LLM and MSc and MA. So there's quite a list of different like types of qualification, but they are all master's programs. In terms of what you should include in your application, so as colleagues have said, it's really important to check the webpage of the particular course because there might be something specific that's required. In general, most programs will ask for your degree certificate and your transcript. I saw we had a question from a student who's not yet received their certificate asking if they can apply with their partial transcript or final transcript. That's absolutely fine. It's the same as applying without an IELTS. You would receive a conditional offer and then you can send us your final transcript once you receive it and your certificate once you receive it. So if you've not yet finished your bachelor's, you can still apply for your master's. Your IELTS or other English language certificate, once you have it, again, as Jenny said, doesn't need to be at the point of application. That can be later. A lot of courses will ask for your CV, so include any relevant work experience. And we've had a question from a student who's looking to change their career direction through a master's. So they've studied one subject at undergraduate and another subject at master's. They want to study something different at master's level. That is sometimes possible. It does depend on the programme. If you want to come and study advanced mechanical engineering with us as a master's, you do need to have studied mechanical engineering before, because otherwise it's difficult to keep up. But say if you've done an engineering undergraduate programme and you want to come and do a master's in business, that's quite possible. But your work experience in your CV is a good way to explain and to demonstrate that you have relevant work experience for the master's, particularly important, I would say, if you're having that kind of change in career. Most courses will ask for a supporting statement, so a personal statement. Most courses will ask for references, so this might be 2 academic or 1 professional and 1 academic, depending on your institution and the programme. And then there may be additional requirements like, for example, translation tests if you're applying for a translation master's, or accreditation for some like healthcare courses, for example. But those are the standard ones: is your academic and English language documents, your CV, your supporting statement, and your references. That's I would say typical for most courses. And your documents should be, as Jenny mentioned, translated into English if they're not issued in English.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Megan. So Megan touched on that a personal statement is typically asked for as part of the application for a master's degree. Jenny, could you give us some of your tips for students when they're approaching writing that personal statement? I saw we had a question in the chat from Laura asking about tips for writing the personal statement. And within that, maybe we could touch on, Megan talked about using work experience in the CV in terms of explaining like changing kind of subject fields and how students might go about addressing that in their personal statement as well.
Thank you. Yeah, so your personal statement is really important. Most universities will ask for a personal statement. So it's like a motivation letter, basically, where you introduce yourself and you tell us, why do you want to do this master's degree? Why have you chosen this particular program at our university? What's attracted you to this master's? And how you think you are a good student, you're a good fit for this course. And this is going to be especially important for people who are changing fields. If you have a background, I think there's someone in the chat, a background in sculpture, but interested in film and TV production. At York, absolutely, it would be possible to apply for a film and TV production master's. We don't ask for a bachelor's degree in film and TV production. We will ask for examples of your creative work. So we'll want to see that you have, the beginnings of some creativity and talent in this area, but it doesn't have to be a formal qualification at all. And your personal statement will really help the department to understand what's got you interested in this area. If you did your undergraduate degree in, I think another example was international relations, and you're now looking for a master's in environment, what has prompted that? What's got you interested in that area? Is it something you're doing in your own time, some voluntary work? Is it through your own profession? You've started working in that field and that's developed your interest? Or, it's something that's come to you more recently that you've decided this is the direction you would like to move your career in. So explain that to us. What are your motivations behind applying? And why would you make a good student? So what qualities do you have? What experiences do you have that would make you a great addition to our classroom in York, in Leeds, in Bedfordshire? If you have an idea about your future plans as well, that's also useful to include. Always read the word counts. Again, different universities will ask for a different length of personal statement. So don't think you can just write one and copy paste it to every university. And in fact, be really, really careful about doing that, because our academics hate nothing more than reading an application for York and it says, what I really love about the course at Leeds. It doesn't make you very popular with the person assessing your application. So use copy paste with great caution. And I say check word count. So at York, to give you an idea, we look for personal statements between 500 to 1,000 words. I say it will be different at different universities.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jenny. Those are some great tips for students starting to think about writing their personal statement. I think we have a little over 10 minutes left in our session today. We've had various questions in the chat about scholarship opportunities. So we'll do a round robin with the university reps here. We can start with Leanne, then go to Jenny, then to Megan. If you could just give a short description of the types of scholarships you have available for students applying to a master's degree from the Latin American region, and where students should go to learn more about those scholarships. So we'll start with you, Leanne.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. So at the University of Bedfordshire, we offer scholarships to all international students. So for Latin America students, it is the same. So £1,500 available. We say up to £1,500 because it's split depending how much money you pay to us in the application process. So £1,000, our Vice Chancellor scholarship, is guaranteed to all international students, and there's no application required. As long as we send you a conditional offer, you will receive a £1,000 scholarship discount from the university once you have enrolled at Bedfordshire. If you can pay the full tuition fees up front as your deposits, which most universities would ask for a certain deposit, but if you can pay 100% tuition fees up front, then we will actually award you with a scholarship worth £1,500. So again, we give you the Vice Chancellor scholarship of £1,000, and we also give you an extra early bird discount of £500 as well. This is given to all first year students. So for master's students coming to Bedfordshire, you would receive that scholarship up to £1,500. We do ask for a deposit of 65% of the published tuition fees. So if you can pay that as your deposits, then you will receive the £1,000 Vice Chancellor scholarship once you reach the registration stage with us. But again, yes, if you can pay the full fees as your deposit, you'll then receive a £1,500 scholarship. And again, no separate application required. You simply make an application to Bedfordshire via our online application system, and then we can then award you with a scholarship of at least £1,000 once we do make you the initial offer onto the said course.
Wonderful. Thanks, Liam. And would all the information about that, those opportunities, would be on your website?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, on our website, bes.ac.uk/international. That's the main homepage for international students, and they can access a link that takes into our scholarship page.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Okay.
So Jenny, could you tell us about scholarship opportunities at University of York for international students?
Yeah, sure. So we also have some Vice Chancellor scholarships as well. It must be a popular title, I think, for scholarships in the UK. And they're available to almost all of our master's programs with the exception of the medical school. And a couple of, I think, maybe Erasmus programs are exempted. So the first step is to apply for the master's degree. You can't apply for the scholarships until you have received at least a conditional offer from the university. So step one is always make that master's application first. And those scholarships give a discount of up to £10,000. So that would be about 13,000 US dollars in your tuition fee. Some of our departments have their own scholarships worth an average value, I would say, would be about £5,000. So electronic engineering, our business school, our chemistry department, there are a number of different ones depending what degree you're going to be studying. And then for certain nationalities as well, we have agreements in place with Mexico, so with CONACYT, with FUNED. We grant a 30% automatic tuition discount for Mexican students with those fundings, or 25% if you take the crédito with FIDE, Banco de Mexico. And similarly for Colombian students with Colfuturo funding, they would get a 25% automatic discount. And those discounts can be combined with our university scholarships as well. I'd say do look around. There often are additional opportunities. You've obviously got the UK government's Chevening scholarships, which are open now with a close date of the 2nd of November. So if you haven't looked at those, look at those urgently because the deadline's pretty soon. They're very full scholarships, but they are very competitive and do require you to have at least 2 years work experience. So they won't suit everybody. And then this past year, there's been some British Council scholarships for women in STEM. And we're receiving 6 Latin American students, female students doing science and technology degrees at our university this year. Again, that's a full scholarship that they are receiving. And we think that scheme will repeat again next year. So follow the British Council Facebook page for updates on that one.
Oh, thanks so much, Jenny. That's great to hear about the different opportunities available for international students to apply for scholarships at the University of York. Megan, could you tell us about scholarship opportunities at the University of Leeds?
I wish I could sum it up in a sentence. For Leeds, it's really dependent on the programme that you're applying to. Similar to York, you need the offer for the master's programme before you can apply to the scholarship. And sometimes you don't have to submit a separate application for the scholarship. We'll just let you know if you've been awarded one. But they really range. So some faculties will offer like £2,000 off the tuition fee. Some faculties will offer 5, some offer 10, some offer a 50% fee, some offer a full fee. Most of them are not region specific. They're open to all international students. There are a couple of exceptions, like we have an MBA scholarship for students from the Americas specifically, which is up to a third of tuition fees. That's a really good one. I actually had 2 Mexican students get that scholarship this year, which is great. But it really depends on the programme. So my advice is to apply early to the programme, receive your offer early, and then you have more time to apply to funding. And then, like Jenny said, apply to multiple sources. So have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. Apply to all the funding you can and put it together, combine it. Again, like York, you can combine different scholarships here at Leeds, and that's what we're seeing increasingly with students from Latin America, is they don't just come with one source of funding, they come with like 4 or 5. Jenny's nodding, she knows. Like York, we have agreements with CONACYT, FUNED, FIDER, Colfuturo, Guate Futuro, Ondo Futuro, ANID in Chile, if it ever runs again. So to offer automatic fee discounts to students coming with those funding. The information about that is all on our website. So yeah, it's just a case of asking lots of questions and doing lots of research, because the funding can take a little while. The good thing is that applying to the programs is quite straightforward. So if you apply one year but aren't able to secure the funding that you need, a lot of students reapply and have a second go at applying for funding. And applying to the programs is free, as we mentioned earlier, and quite easy. So if you don't manage in the first time, like, do try again. Yeah. So it's all on our website, but it varies massively.
Fantastic. Thank you, Megan. So we are coming to the end of our session. Thank you everyone so much for the wonderful questions you've submitted. I'm sorry if we did not get to your question, but we will provide the email addresses of the representatives here today so that you can follow up with them individually with any questions that we did not cover. I feel like we could chat about applying to a master's degree in the UK all afternoon or all evening for our UK folks here, but we will need to wrap up our session. Before we go, I am going to ask each rep here to give us their quick fire, one of their top tips for students thinking about applying to a master's degree in the UK, what one of their top recommendations would be for students to keep in mind. So I guess we'll go back the other way. So if I guess we'll start with you, Megan, and go to Jenny and then to Liam.
Oh, I was hoping I could go last so I could pinch someone else's idea, because there's lots of different things to say. I think my top tip, I guess, for students at this stage is do what you're doing, like do the research, come to events like this, ask lots of questions, get in touch with the university representatives, with admissions teams, read about the programs. Like Liam said at the beginning, this is one of the biggest investments you will potentially make, not just of your money, but also of your time. It's a year of your life, and it can really impact your future. So it's the research side. We're always happy to speak to international students. So my top tip is, yeah, do your research and ask your questions. And thank you for having us today.
That's great. Thanks, Megan. Jenny, could you share your top tip for students?
Can I give 2? Can I be cheeky? I think my first one would be, we have a saying in English, the early bird catches the worm. And all these questions about scholarships, if you want a scholarship, apply as soon as possible. Don't wait. To say you don't need to wait till you've done your IELTS test. Start the process as soon as possible, because I see this every year, where students want to apply for a scholarship, but they don't have the admission letter from the university in time, and they miss their scholarship deadline. And whilst, you can send us an email and we can defer, we can postpone your place for another year if you request that via email, you're waiting another year then, and you want to get on and you want to do this and you want to progress in your career. You don't necessarily want to wait another 12 months. So do start the process sooner rather than later. Say all of our systems are open now, ready to receive your applications. And there's one of us in most universities. There's a dedicated person who is there to help applicants from Latin America. So we're really eager. We're really happy to receive your emails and your questions. So get in touch with us. And very quickly, my second one is English practice. British English is sometimes a challenge for students in Latin America, because you're more accustomed typically to a North American English accent. So you might be watching this today thinking, goodness, they speak strange. So, get some podcasts. We have a service, we have international conversation afternoons at the University of York that students anywhere in the world can join for free. And you can just come along. It's 2 afternoons a week and chat about, food, weather, whatever the topic is, holidays, and just listen, practice speaking, even informal things like that are going to help you and are going to build your confidence so that you feel more confident about taking that IELTS test or that Duolingo test.
Well, thank you, Jenny. Yeah, those are some great tips. Thank you so much. So we'll come to you, Liam, for your top tip for students applying to a master's degree in the UK.
Yeah, I think for me, I think what's really important is that the student really thinks carefully, what is their future career plan. So if you're watching this now, I think that's a really important question to ask yourself, because like I've said before, this is a very high investment decision in your career. It involves you spending lots of money on the university's tuition fees, your living costs, the flights, coming into the UK, and all these things. So there's a lot at stake here. Coming to the UK, as we've talked about, offers many, many benefits, which we could talk all day about. That's how great our country is. But you've got to think carefully about your career plan. What do you want to do in your future? Do you want to graduate from your degree and then go on to apply for your 2-year graduate route visa and stay here in the country for a couple of years and develop your work experience? Or do you want to go home straight away and then apply for a more senior position, to develop your own career, or apply for a new position because you might be changing your career plan? Something else to also mention, depending which country you're applying from, you may actually be interviewed by the UKVI. So you need to be prepared for that interview, and whichever university that you apply to, there will be some guidance and support from that said university about your interview with the UKVI for your visa. And a key question that will always come up in your interview will be, what is your career plan? And you must have a good answer. So that goes back to the research that you would need to do at the start of your journey coming across to the UK from your home country. What is your career plan? And if you think that a master's degree will definitely suit you, it's going to help you boost and develop and enhance your career in the future, then please go ahead, invest the money, apply for your funding if that's necessary for you, and have a great time with us in the UK. But I think that's my top today, is your career and how we can help you have an even better career in your future.
Thank you, Liam. That's some really great advice for students thinking about applying to the UK for their master's degree. So I want to say thank you so much, Liam, Jenny, and Megan, for joining us. We really appreciate you guys helping us to answer all of these questions. And thank you to everyone watching for participating, joining in, listening. We really appreciate having you here today, and we hope that you will follow up and get in touch with the representatives at the email addresses, which are on the screen. Like they mentioned, they are eager to receive your questions. They're there to support you with any questions that you might have. So we hope this information helps you as you embark on your application journey. And on behalf of the University of Bedfordshire, the University of York, and the University of Leeds, we want to thank you for joining us here today. And do stay tuned to the British Council's Facebook pages for any upcoming Facebook Lives. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.